tomorrow night, but he's making progress. We're super optimistic, and he's kind of going through the process, and hopefully he'll be back soon. I know that's not very descriptive, but I'm trying to be protective of him also.
Mark, how does Malachi's growth and consistency kind of take some of the pressure away from needing to lean heavily on JQ as quickly?
Well, I think they're totally separate. You want to have your guys, and JQ's an incredibly special talent, and so he's going to have a massive impact on this team when he gets healthy. And Malachi is growing at a beautiful rate, and so he's growing in a lot of ways. He's growing statistically and performance and read-based and understanding on the court, but he's also growing as a leader in the locker room and such a steadying force. So they're both true. Like, we need JQ, and Malachi's growing so well.
Mark, on Saturday after the game, you spoke about how you and Colin had reflected on the current Bush story.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit more about why that resonates with this year's team and, the idea of, cutting down to get better?
Yeah, I mean, it's a faith-driven story, of course, and I'm a believer 100%. And on a simply athletic level, this is the way that it works. We actually do this as athletes. We go in the weight room to literally tear down our muscle so that it will grow back stronger, right? And if we're really blessed in this life, in some ways, we find joy in growing in life, and you grow by facing adversity and challenges. It's just a very simple principle, but for me as a person that relies so much on my faith, it's incredibly comforting to know that when I'm facing adversity, it's really not the end of the story. It's just a necessary part of the process. And I believe that for our team, when we're facing adversity, it's not the end of the story. It's a necessary, painful part of the process for us to actually become something great. It's my whole life as an athlete. It's my life as a parent and a husband, and it's everything that I've lived through. So it rings true to me, and I believe it, and brings you incredible peace when you're going through the adversity, right? Just to know that there's a purpose, and the purpose is all about growing and learning. And so I think that's a great sustaining piece of it. I love the talk, I love the parable, I love the whole thing.
Coach, we know you love to go back and watch the film, do a big deep dive. What were some of the things that stood out? Maybe some things you didn't catch standing on the court live?
Yeah, a lot of things we could do better. It was, it was anomalous. It was, it was the first time where the numbers just worked out that us not at the point of the screen was more efficient than us at the point of the screen, which was surprising in our ball screen coverages. It was not a great performance from us in that sense. And so that's a place we need to really grow. I still think I'm really committed to being in that space. And then what we do after the point of the screen obviously varies. I was pleased with, even in stretches in the first half where we weren't great offensively, I was really pleased with the ball movement we saw. I feel like we're trending in a solid space. So I was really pleased with that even more than I felt in the game. I think that we're maybe finding some continuity, a little bit more continuity to rotations and guys feeling more comfortable with each other. And I think that was evident in some spaces on the film. So I think there's good progress and obviously places we need to grow.
Mark, with Jasper, it seemed like Saturday especially, he kind of knew what he wanted to do with the ball before it got there, maybe a lot more than in previous games. Where have you seen, what did you think of his decisiveness, first of all, in that game particularly, and how has that grown, just even the last 2-3 weeks maybe?
Yeah, I think it's growing quickly, and I think it's been really positive growth, and I think you're exactly right. That's exactly what I'm seeing is his ability to be really decisive, and that comes with all the things. It comes with knowing the person you're on the court with. It comes with knowing what SEC basketball feels like. It comes with knowing system and knowing actions and having a better sense of like where you get yourself in trouble and where you find real success in terms of, you know, a lot of times in the game you're making your best aggressive guess and then you got to figure it out after that. And so I think it's all those things. I think it's just understanding what it means on the court. Like we say, be decisive. We don't know what that means until all of a sudden it starts to mean something to Jasper, right? And so if we're in an early 4 action and he is, you know, he's like, well, naturally I'm going to actually work the right side of the floor so I can come off my left hand. And then I know that I'm really going to just narrow this down to 2 options right now and I can see him and go. It's fun to watch him grow. And it's all based on his work ethic and his resilience in terms of saying, hey, I'm just going to, regardless of what happens, I'm going to focus on getting better every day. And so we're seeing a better product. And I think he's going to continue to grow quickly through the rest of the year.
For his growth and from your perspective, was that second half maybe even more impressive? I know the 12 points got a lot of attention in the first half, but the 3 assists and just, again, the decisiveness.
Yeah.
With the,
My favorite play was a nothing. It was a nothing. It was, I think I mentioned this maybe after the game, is where he got stuck in the corner and he had 2 guys trying to rake the ball away from him in a very physical, heated, contested moment, and he just said no. He just he ripped through once, ripped through twice, and just made a nothing pass out. But winning those balls, you know, he's got incredible skill, but that skill gets unleashed when you win plays like that are nothing plays. Then you start to unleash all the other stuff, right? And so that was my favorite moment for him of the whole game. And he had magic of the transition 3, like slicing and dicing guys. But that was the play that spoke the loudest to me.
Going off of that, how have you seen Jasper and Malachi kind of help each other through this season of growth that they're going through?
I think that they're doing like everybody on the team is. I mean, everybody's leaning on each other. Everybody's loving each other. Everybody's trying to figure out how to do this together. And so those 2 are massive players in that process.
How big has DA been in the past couple of games? He's averaged 18 points in the 3-game winning streak. Most of the points coming in the second half. Just talk about how big it's been for him stepping in.
It's been big. He's been really big. He took a huge step last week in terms of, again, kind of, it's all of those things. It's having a better sense of what we're trying to accomplish, who he gets to accomplish with it on the court, you know, how he gets to do it. He took a big step. He made huge plays. His decision-making was elite. His ball protection was elite. His shot-making was elite. His defensive assignments were really, really solid. So I thought he had an incredible week. I don't know who in our league probably had a better week than him. I thought he was incredible and under duress. And so I'm really proud of him, and I think he's still got huge upside ahead of him.
To piggyback off that, obviously he was able to do a lot of great things scoring the ball towards the end of the game, but would you rather maybe see maybe a little bit less scoring, a little bit more assists, or how do you do that?
Well, I think he did a great job taking what was there. I really do. I think he did a great job. I thought his reads were elite. I thought they were really good. And I thought there were times where he got the ball out of his hands quickly and then ended up getting back, and there were times where he was pretty relentless. You know, it's not about – it's about making the decision-making about what's available. His ability to get in the lane and be patient and let the play actually develop, and in a lot of cases it developed a little bit for him, but to patiently probe in the lane and let things develop, I thought was elite. And so we're hoping to see more of that.
how much of that playing off 2 feet principle applies to him and maybe that style specifically of making those right decisions and taking what's there?
For us, it's an important concept because what it does, it takes really hard, almost impossible reads, and it just gives you more time to make them. You know, it's like JQ and I are trying to. You know, I'm making some progress with JQ on the chessboard, and which I'm really proud of. I'm not going to brag too much in here, but I did win a game recently, which has been a long time coming, and. But it's just like, you know, when you're working on the timer, you don't have much time to calculate every possible move that's going on. Like, you got to go right now and go instinctually, and that can get you in harm's way sometimes. So you buy yourself time on the court by physically being intentional to buy yourself longer for the defense to reveal its hand. That's actually the greatest skill in decision making. You actually make way faster progress if you buy yourself more time to make a decision than you do if you just try and practice making decisions quicker. It's important at every level. It's really important in the league also. And so playing off 2 feet and his ability to do that right now, to earn a driving line, and has been really good.
Mark, you've spoken a little bit about the value that J-Lo is still able to give this team despite not being able to play, using him in scout team situations, just having him as like a veteran presence on the bench. Can you just expand on that a little bit more, and what specific areas you feel like J-Lo can still be a real asset to this team, and even some of the guys like Jasper or DA who's playing a bit out of position?
Yeah. We did a great job on the scout yesterday. So he handled the backcourt personnel, and I thought it was terrific. So he's digging in there. I think there's so much that he can learn and grow. So many ways he can grow right now. I think he can grow as a leader. I think his ceiling is to be an elite level leader. I think he's going to get a chance now to see this from the other side, from the schematic side, and from the communication side in a new way that he's never had a chance to see it. And if he does this right, then this is going to change his basketball career. The education he's able to get now, that there's no other way he would get this than the unfortunate injury. And so I expect him to dig in, and I expect him to come out of this a different human being, to think about the game different, to think about how he communicates with his teammates different, to think about how to unify a group different. I expect him to really grow.
What are the challenges you see facing Texas in Swain specifically?
Man, this Texas team they are potent offensively. My goodness, they just have weapons everywhere. They're one of the top teams in the country at getting to the free throw line. They have the number 1 player in the country in getting to the free throw line, free throw rate. They're one of the top teams in the country on the offensive glass. They can hurt you in isolation. They hurt you off handoffs and off screens. They can hurt you in transition, and they do it from all 5 spots. Got some guys coming off the bench that really have an impact. They can really, really shoot it. They're a good team, and the great thing is, I've known Coach for a long time, and he's a defensive-minded guy, and so that side of the ball is going to be really strong. Good team. Anybody that in back-to-back games goes on the road, beats Alabama, and then beats Vandy at home is a good team. And so we'll have all the challenge we can possibly stand coming to us, and we can't wait to get to it. So.
Talk about your that last year, Tremont Mark was a big factor in that game for them. He had 26 points. He's obviously back. What's it going to take to slow him down this year?
He's a tough guard. He's shooting 52% from mid-range, right? And so he's a 1.04 points per possession. If you subtract turnovers, he's a 1.04, which is hard. Normally defensive or schemed to manage that. He's so good, and he's a big shot maker, physically strong. Maybe their best defensive player. He's a really good player, and he's put them on his shoulders a couple times. But they have a lot of guys that could do it. Pope has put the team on his shoulders sometimes. Number 8, I'm not going to try to say his last name, not out of disrespect, but I'll probably say it wrong. Has put the team on his shoulders sometimes, just really getting the foul line, managing that. They've had a lot of guys. Swain is probably their most important player, maybe in a lot of cases, and so they've had a lot of guys that step up and carry them, and certainly that makes them dangerous.
Hey Mark, can you talk about your team defense? How much they've improved?
Yeah, I like our group defensively. We didn't have our greatest showing at Tennessee. Just barely good enough. Better, certainly better, much better in the second half. But some metrics we've doubled up how good we are. So our defensive rim percentage is almost twice as good in terms of where we rank in the country. Our transition defensive volume is we've jumped about 70 spots in terms of our transition defensive volume from last year, which is a huge number. It's one of the top 3 correlating factors to winning. So we're excited about that. We're making progress. I think we're communicating better, but we still have a long way to go.
How close do you feel you are to a 2-half breakthrough?
I don't know. I'm not sure. It's certainly something that's on our mind and on our guys' minds. There is a part of the way that we function where we're going to naturally flow through the course of the game and get better and better and better. Our guys are really good at understanding. You do all your prep work and then you get to the game, and our guys are pretty good. One of the strengths we have is interpreting what's happening in the game and then kind of finding answers to it. I think our energy and our pace, generally, the game kind of lends itself to breaking through to more pace. And the best thing we do offensively is transition offense. We've been so potent. Our numbers are ridiculous in transition. So sometimes you're just fighting to break through to get there. But we'd like to find some answers in the first half that make us better. I think, we've, maybe we're at a place where we'll find a little bit of lineup continuity. That didn't show great progress in the first halves of the last two games. Maybe over time that's going to help us. We'll see how that goes. But I expect that we'll be able to make some progress there.
With those rotations, do you know going in, like, this is Tennessee, this is going to be a Mo game in the second half, or something about LSU, this is going to be Cam's going to be out on the court for a long time in the second half? Or is that just the flow of the game? What goes into that?
I've gone into games having real expectations and then come out being surprised by actually what was functional and what wasn't. I really have. And I think sometimes we anticipate correctly, and sometimes it's just not someone's night, or sometimes the matchup's different, or sometimes the team's actually going to a different lineup than we expected from them, or working different actions, or putting us in different positions, or maybe we're in a game where it's just like, man, we're really struggling to score, so we got to overload the lineup a little bit with a little more space and a little bit more scoring, or maybe we're just getting torched on the defensive end and we got to go to switching, so I might change my 5 and change my 4 just because we have to go to switching ball screens. So we're right now we are spending more time than usual responding to the flow of the game. And what's happening in the game, but I think we might live there for a while. It's not a bad way to play. It makes sense. We have a lot of guys that can contribute. More than imposing our own will on the game, we're responding well. And so we'll kind of dance in that space.
How much confidence do you think that gives a bunch of different guys? The fact that, Mo was out there for a long stretch of that Tennessee, Cam, LSU. It seems like just about everybody on the team has been really in the thick of it for these comebacks, and how might that kind of extrapolate to tournament time or some of these tougher league games?
I think everybody's feeling like they're a part of it. I think everyone's feeling like they're in it, and I think guys feel like they have help. I think guys feel like, it was one of the things that I was really happy about with Tennessee was Ortega's been playing at such a ridiculous clip. His performance at LSU, among others, has just been incredible. He's been so good, and he just didn't have the best feel at Tennessee, and we still won. And we won because he has good guys around him, and he still hung in there long enough to make a couple really important plays. And I think that's got to be comforting for our guys. Be like, you know what, I don't have to carry this. I could look around this huddle, and I'm like, that guy can do it, and that guy can do it, and that guy can do it, and we're going to do it together. I think that helps you. So hopefully we'll continue to build off that confidence.
You mentioned transition offense being a strong suit of the team. How do you go about maybe manufacturing more of those opportunities? I saw you a little full court pressure in the second half against Tennessee, or is it as simple as making sure you guys get that first rebound on defense so then you can go out and run?
It's all the above. It helps us with stops. It helps us when we get the ball out quickly on a make. It helps us when we can manufacture something on the defense end to get a deflection or a steal. All those things help us. It helps us by being as fresh as we can on the court, but that's a mixed bag too. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, and usually it's not completely under your control. We're not quite that team where we can just be an unrelenting force in transition. So we kind of got to break the game a little bit to get there, but our guys have done a nice job doing it.
Couple more.
You spoke about Ortega a second ago, and obviously, you mentioned Tennessee wasn't his best game, but he sticks with it, has that critical basket late. It seems like, especially this year, he's really rolled with the punches, maybe a bit more than last year, and still come out on the other side and produced.
Yeah.
Just what about him as a person and a player allows him to, I guess, have that resiliency or have that kind of everyday, showing up mentality that he brings to the table?
It's fun to watch him grow. He's grown as a leader. I hear his voice more. He speaks up more. He speaks up in film. He'll speak up on the court. His practice intensity has made a massive jump over last month to a place where I haven't seen it consistently before, which is a big deal for him because he plays in games so hard. His response to adversity has been better. Even his body language. Coach Brooks charts every single moment of every single game, every player's body language in 4 different categories, and his body language is so much improved in the moments of failure, right? When something goes really wrong, at a way more consistent basis, he's able to turn immediately to the next possession, which has been really important for us in these games. So he's grown that way. But he's the leader of this team. He's the energy leader of this team. He's the guy that everybody trusts. He comes up with big plays and big shots, and on the defensive end and on the offensive end. And the load he's carrying right now is huge. And so that's why the Tennessee game was not something that would be, it's 100%. You could look at it and be like, of course, at some point, there's going to be just a little bit of a blip on the radar because he's been so good, but he's grown.
Coach, Kenny McPeak is naming a horse Malachi's Miracle. What are your thoughts on that happening for Malachi?
Well, I think it's, if I had a horse, I would also name it after Malachi or Colin or Ortega, or I would name it after all the guys as long as they keep winning games. So I'm grateful about that. Kenny is a legend in the industry, clearly a legend of all legends. He's been a great friend to us. I'm a big fan of the things he does.
Thanks, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day.
What do you say? Yeah, no.